Senator, I'm strongly committed to an independent Federal Reserve, and I would add nothing in my conversations with anyone in the administration has given me any concern on that front. And I just would plan, if confirmed, to follow in the footsteps of distinguished prior chairs and of our long tradition, really, to assure that we do conduct monetary policy and financial regulatory policy, by the way, without a view to political outcomes, but with a view solely to the right answers.
Thank you. The Senate this week will vote on a tax bill that will reduce federal revenues substantially over the next 10 years. When the country fell into the Great Recession a decade ago, the Fed had to resort to extraordinary measures, in part because of the tepid fiscal stimulus provided by Congress. 9 years later, amidst one of the longest recoveries on record and low overall unemployment, some of my colleagues think now is the time for $1.5 trillion in attempted stimulus. What does the Fed anticipate will be the impact on GDP growth over the next decade if the tax cuts are enacted along the lines of the bill before the Senate?
Senator, we don't have an estimate of that, and I would say these fiscal policies are important matters for you and your elected colleagues to decide.
With all due respect, Governor, the Fed's projection for long-term GDP growth now is 1.8%. That's the stated federal projection over the next 3 years. I have to assume that with the staff, the highly skilled, not tiny staff that the Fed has, that you have done modeling in all kinds of different ways, different legislation, different ideas coming out of the House and Senate. You have a FOMC meeting coming up in maybe 2 weeks. Are you telling me the Fed has not modeled any of this, any of the tax bill and these kinds of tax cuts and what it will do to economic growth?
Senator, of course we're monitoring these discussions, but it remains unclear exactly what will pass, and so it's really, in my view, it's been very difficult or impossible for us to start to incorporate.
But you know, Governor, that the overall arching theme of this is 1.5 trillion in tax cuts. That it will cause greater economic. It'll cause a larger deficit. You know that people on this side of the aisle claim, as they always do, every time there's a tax bill that will grow out of that. Don't you have a responsibility in an ongoing sort of way to talk to us about the modeling that you've done, that what this will mean to the fiscal situation of our country in the years ahead?
I think our responsibility is to carry out the mandate that you've given us, which is to achieve stable prices and maximum employment, and also look after the financial stability.
But of course, we rely on you for data all the time.
Respectfully, Senator, I don't think you rely on us to score fiscal proposals. That's not really our role, and I don't have a forecast for you on that today.
Okay. We've discussed the need for an independent Fed. Do you believe it's important for the other independent financial regulatory agencies to be free from administration pressure? The independent agencies to be free from administration pressure?
I think it's good for all supervisory regulatory agencies to operate doing the best that they can with their mandates and not to look at the politics of things.
I can't tell if that's a yes or no.
I wouldn't want to hypothetically sort of agree with your hypothetical that there's political pressure.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm not asking that. I'm asking should regulators at the various independent agencies be free from administration pressure? Should they be free from independent pressure? I'm not asking you if they are now.
Certainly on individual enforcement and matters like that, I think the administration is well within its rights to express its views on different regulatory matters. But as it relates to supervision of individual institutions, absolutely. Is
independence well served by the appointment of an interim agency head who holds another full-time position that reports directly to the president and the president's chief of staff?
Senator, I have to say that's not something that's in my bailiwick to deal with.
And you have no opinion of that?
Not today, no.
Okay. Tomorrow? I'm concerned, as I think we all are, about the administration's attempt to push out a full-time independent director at the CFPB in favor of a part-time political appointee with a history of attacking the Bureau. And I'm concerned about that attitude infecting other independent agencies. I'm concerned about the tradition or the potential the way that the president could look at this and begin to do this in other places, a non-confirmed appointment like he's doing to the CF, trying to do, the judge will decide, to the CFPB. And I'm concerned too, Mr. Chairman, that one of the first things that Mr. Mulvaney did as quote unquote acting director was to stop payments to consumers, to service members, to veterans, payments that they were wronged, civil penalties, payments that they were wronged by banks and that they need to be made whole, and this director stopped it. And that kind of political interference, I bring that up, one, because a lot of us in this country are very unhappy with what happened, but second, I bring it up as a warning to all of us that independent agencies meet independent agencies. I've watched your career. You've followed things with integrity. You've done things with integrity, but I do worry about White House pressure and a White House we've never seen the likes of in terms of not understanding the independent judiciary and the independence of the FBI and the independence of CFPB and the independence of the job you will have at the Federal Reserve.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.